Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
What movie we watching this week?
This week, to kick off a new month, we have a movie marriage of Paranorman, Alice in Wonderland, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We are kicking off creepy movies for kids with Coraline.
It makes sense. Alternate realities, yeah.
I know. That's where I was going with it. I'm like, okay, this is clearly this is like ahead of its time. You know, we've got so many alternate reality movies now.
Yeah.
And like, that's really what this is. It's kind of an Alice in Wonderland alternate reality. Yeah. And then, luckily, with the onslaught of these, multi-dimensional movie chains we've got going, I'm like, I have my pick. What am I to go with? I went with Doctor Strange just for the horrific aspect.
Sure.
That the other dimension is more horrific. I haven't seen the movie yet, but the other dimension is more horrific. So
yeah. Well,
I do know better than to not take Lucas.
Yeah. A little known fact, Coraline is set within the MCU.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It's canon.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it's canon. So speaking of that, before I get started, because I don't want to forget, oh, by the way, welcome to Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme and go back and forth with our contributions. Episode 31, if you haven't figured out that I'm
on
Oz.
The road to 30,000.
31,000. Each episode we drop adds another 1,000 to the goal.
You got to aim high.
So yeah, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we are here in a new month. Like I said earlier, we've got creepy movies for kids. The flip side of creepy kids in movies,
or as opposed to movies for creepy kids.
Yeah, that too. I'm sure we could do that, but movies for creepy kids. That would be interesting. Lego Movie 2.
Yeah. What kind of movie draws in creepy kids?
What do you watch? Scream 4. So. My daughter, who is an absolute avid fan of this, is also big into crochet. So if you are watching this on YouTube, or even if you're listening to it on whatever podcast app you're listening to, head on over to the YouTube channel and check out the video, because I'm showcasing some crocheted art that my daughter has created on her own here. So we have a Coraline doll, complete with her blue hair and her firefly head, but she's also crocheted here. Come on, focus. There we go. A mini Coraline with button eyes. So she's covered her tracks here. She's very excited for this.
And she's very talented too. That is an amazing job that she did.
She's 11, so self-taught crochet. I didn't give her crochet lessons, so a lot like Steve Buscemi and the Wedding Singer, self-taught, no lessons.
No thanks to you, Dad.
So we got her started on her yarn, and she takes care of the rest. So but we're here to talk about Coraline. Before we get to that, though, throw out to our Patreon subscriber Don S.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks for your continued patronage. You can head over to patreon.com, find the link down below in the description if you'd like to support the show, and maybe you just have a giant ego and you want to hear your name mentioned every week. So we could do that for you. We've got connections. So, Curtis, would you care to elaborate on the characters of the movie?
Yes, indeed. I put down 8 characters for the character rundown here from Coraline. Right. We start with Coraline Jones, the
Coraline Jones,
the lead character, voiced by Dakota Fanning. Mm-hmm. Then we also have her parents, Mel Jones, voiced by Judge John Hodgman, and Charlie Jones, voiced by Terry Hatcher. That would be the mother character. Also play Other Father and Other Mother as well.
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm. We have
Lois of Lois and Clark fame.
Yep, we got Lois and Judge John Hodgman. Have you listened to his podcast, by the way?
No, I don't.
It's funny.
Is it good stuff?
He plays a quote unquote judge, and basically 2 people bring him like some pointless dispute, and he resolves it.
Okay. So, Judge John Hodgman, since we're throwing out your name on our podcast, if you happen to be listening, we'd love a shout out on yours.
Yep. Shout out. Let's talk about flicks with Oz and Curtis.
Yeah, that's right. A little back scratching action going on.
Exactly. That's how us celebrities do things.
Right, exactly.
We got YB Wyborn, the neighbor boy who befriends Coraline. Then we have some neighbors who live in, was it the Pink Palace? Is that what the upper?
Yeah, the Pink Palace Apartments.
The Pink Palace Apartments. We have the downstairs neighbors, April Sprink and Miriam Forcible, voiced by Jennifer Saunders and Dawn French. We have the upstairs neighbor, Mr. Bobinski, voiced by, of all people, Ian McShane.
Right. They could have easily put in David Harbour as Red Guardian, and he would have... I almost threw Black Widow, in my movie Marriage, just because that's all I could think of was David Harbour's Russian accent reading Bobinski.
My goils. And finally, we have the cat, voiced by the one and only Keith David.
I love Keith David.
Mm-hmm. When he's not suplexing Roddy Piper, he's voicing the cat.
Or giving Ben Stiller a hard time for zipping himself up and something about Mary.
That's right. Those are the 8 main characters in Coraline.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's a good fit. That's about all we got, really. So, I mean, there's really nobody else there. So yeah. Our movie opens with kind of an Edward Scissorhands-esque creation of a doll by someone with very thin, spindly fingers. And, the Edward Scissorhands, I'm going to shout out, to my wife on that one as we're watching. She goes, this part always reminds me of Edward Scissorhands. And I'm like, fair enough. It definitely fits more with Edward Scissorhands. Always reminded me of, like, the guy in Toy Story 2 that comes in to fix Woody when he sews him up. Like the old man.
Yeah.
That's always reminded me of that scene a little bit. But I think Edward Scissorhands definitely fits more. Especially when you get the Henry Selick, Tim Burton connection going on.
There you go.
And,
you can also go Freddy Krueger.
You could, putting the glove together at the beginning. I like that. I like that one even better.
Lady Deathstrike from X-Men 2.
Yes. Played by, is it Wu? Is it Jennifer Wu? Michelle Wu?
No, I don't remember the name.
Kelly Hu.
Okay.
That's who it was. Kelly Hu. I only remember that because she also played, we're going to go all... In our kid-friendly episode, we're going to talk about Freddy Krueger. We're going to talk about... But Kelly Hu was also in Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Ah.
So, she was the only, like, one of 2, like, non-white kids in that movie. In New York. Places. So, after our opening title kind of sequence here, where we're kind of, like it's a little mystery, we meet Coraline and her family. They're moving into the Pink Palace Apartments in Oregon. Her parents write and edit for like a plant catalog.
Like a gardening catalog?
Yeah, and they pretty much ignore Coraline full time. Like, oops,
writing that catalog is a full-time job.
Right. And they are just, they clearly don't enjoy their job either. They're so...
Or each other.
Right, yeah. They work in separate rooms. They're constantly they don't fight, but fighting would at least be emotion they're expressing towards each other.
They just kind of bicker and...
Yeah. And Coraline is like
healthy.
the only... Yeah, not wanting to pay attention to Coraline is the only thing they have in common. So, because of this, that leaves Coraline up for a lot of exploration. Her dad tells her to go count the windows and doorknobs and things that are blue. And there's one kind of cute scene where there's like a carpet runner, and she's stands on the hump and more humps pop up, and it's kind of a whack-a-mole kind of game she's playing with the rug. Mm-hmm. But she goes outside and she's got a very vivid imagination. She breaks off a stick and she's using it like a dowsing rod to find an old well. Tell me where the water's at. She's talking to this stray black cat that's around. Like, she's just a lonely kid. And then, up on a motorized bicycle pops the landlady's grandson, Wyborn, otherwise known as Wyby, who kind of a really cool... He's got this cool, like... optometrist Halloween mask.
Yeah, kind of looks like the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming.
It does, but that's a great example. It looks like the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, but he can like do which looks better, 1 or 2. Like, he can change like the focal point of the lens he's looking through on his mask. So he comes riding up, introduces himself, tells her you found it. You're standing on the well, which kind of freaks her out. Also reveals that the stick is poison oak. We get like right here in this opening scene, like she's talking to YB and he's a little chatterbox and she's just throwing shade all day long on him. Why were you born? Like, that's vicious. You just met this kid.
She's just going after him.
So it's like, here you want nothing more than companionship, and as soon as you get somebody, you're just
drive them away.
You're just mean. So the next day, Coraline comes downstairs and her mom lets her know that, hey, the neighbor boy dropped off this package for you. And she opens it up and it reveals to be a doll that looks like her. Mm-hmm. He leaves that at the apartment. He says leaves her a note. I found it in my grandmother's things. And then this is where the movie kind of gets weird. The doll like guides her. This is her only friend, like this doll, which is kind of sad because it's her. So really her only friend is her, in doll form. The doll guides her to the small door in a living room. She gets really excited because, again, her very vivid imagination. Opens the door, finally, gets her mom convinced to help her out. Her mom cuts her a deal. If I help you with this, you'll leave me alone, right?
Healthy.
As I'm exactly as she's editing the work her father is doing. So it's not like, it can't wait a moment. So she finds the keys, opens it up. This door is bricked up from behind. Because again, as you mentioned, this is one of these where it's one house, but it's been divided into like 3 different apartments. So, they had to wall off certain access points or whatever. That's probably what happened here. That night, though, a mouse wakes Coraline up and guides her to the door. She opens the door again. Well, now this door is open and there's a portal, this really cool effect where there's this purple and pink and she crawls through and she's in this parallel universe.
Yeah, like a tube. It's like those collapsible like forts you could buy for kids now.
Yeah, exactly. Something, you'd find like a really like a poor man's fun house or something. So she ends up in the other world, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same house, everything's just better, Her other mother and other father, they have buttons for eyes, but you know what? We'll forgive that because they make her favorite meals. They pay attention to her. They let her go out and play in the rain. They want to actually play games with her.
They're colored very more. They have warmer colors. Literally, they look like they have more life to them.
Yeah, it's just a much better place for Coraline, and they're like basically the exact opposite of her real parents.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps everything Coraline wants out of her family.
Exactly. Except eye contact, because they can't give that to her. They don't have the eyes. Coraline, of course, comes back home. Just kind of, in some ways, it feels very like a dream.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, in the real world, her normal world, she's talking with YB again. And YB reveals that, his grandmother's sister, his great aunt, has been missing. So it's kind of this creepy story, that we don't have no idea where she's at. She's been missing since she was a little girl.
It's an odd thing to bring up with somebody you just met.
Yeah, well, she questioned why he was even born the day before, so.
True.
So these two are hitting it off real well. And so, this is where we meet the neighbors. Because, again, Coraline's wanting to hang out with her parents. They were like, just go bother the neighbors, basically. Go see what else they're doing. So this is where we meet Mr. Bobinski, who has a mouse circus. He's a former Chernobyl... he's a former Chernobyl inspector or whatever. He's kind of blue-skinned, which doesn't matter because everybody in this movie's a little odd.
Yeah. But apparently he cleaned up like the remnants of Chernobyl, so he spent a lot of time around radiation.
Yeah, makes sense. He's actually not even Russian. The Russian accent came with all the Chernobyl.
All the radiation.
And so, she's hanging out with him. he's got this like mouse circus, and it's pretty fun. It's a fun little scene. She leaves, he hollers down. Everybody in the real world, with the exception of her parents, call her Caroline. She tells them her name is Coraline, but they're like, no, it's Caroline. But even Bobinski, he hollers down and is like, my mice have told me, to basically don't go in the little door, and they call you Coraline. And he's like, that's weird. Your name is Caroline. It's not weird that he's talking to his mice. It's weird that they're pronouncing her name different.
That's the weird part here.
Yeah. So she goes and hangs out with the other neighbors. They're entertainers. I got the vibe that they're just really good friends and partners that just kind of live. They're just best friends. Their names are Sprink and Forcible, as they call themselves, and they're put together differently.
That's one way of putting it. They have different body types.
Yeah, the different body types, which is okay.
Yep.
Proportions are this. Oh, by the way, this is a stop motion animated film too. By the way,
yes.
So you could take a lot of liberties with how you build your characters when
Literally.
they're all puppets. So. And they also offer some cryptic warnings about her danger. They're not sure what it means. So now Coraline's talked to both neighbors, and both neighbors are like, something's off. We don't know what. We're just passing the message
just
along.
Be careful, new neighbor girl.
Right, because danger is imminent. They're almost like, harbingers of evil and deathly fates, only unaware of it.
They're the guy who works at the gas station on the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
When the kids pull in. Beware the cabin in the woods.
I know. They're like, the Ralph character in the early Friday the 13th movies that just rides his bike into camp just to tell people, you're doomed. And then they laugh him off. And he gets back on his 10 speed and rides away. So, despite the warning, though, Coraline had a really good time in the other world.
Yeah, she did.
So she visits again. Her other parents entertain her. Again, more food. Like, they're really giving this very inviting, this very welcoming. We want you here. This is fun. This is where
you belong. Here with us.
And they introduce her to, the other Wybie. Like, look, your friend. He's here. And he doesn't talk. This is where, as a viewer, I know I did. I really got the vibe that obviously things are off.
Yes.
Because it's too good to be true. But this is really where, the other mother really starts to exude her dominance. And that she's got complete control over this domain. Other father lets slip a couple of lines, and like the living environment around them corrects him. Yep. Like he's playing piano. He doesn't play the piano plays him.
Yeah, it's like a couple like Inspector Gadget arms that come out and kind of control him.
Yeah, you put your hands in the gloves and it moves your arms around and you're playing piano. Well, he makes some comment, and even the hand from the piano kind of wags its finger at him like, you watch your mouth. And so, like I said, we've got the other Wybie, who doesn't say a word. His mouth has been sewn shut. And then the cat. This is the first time she really sees the stray cat, which now talks to her. And thankfully it does, because it's Keith David's voice. So.
Yeah, I mean, who else's voice would you rather want, or would you want to hear a cat talking to you with?
Exactly. I love a cat that could talk like Keith David. And so, but this is the same cat, though. This cat can traverse back and forth between the dimensions.
But it can only talk in the other dimension.
Yes, it can only talk in the dimension where things aren't normal. But it is the same cat. Unlike Wybie and the other parents, which are not the same people. They're just doppelgangers of the same people. So she makes a third visit. And on this third visit, when she sits down to have a meal, and she's really comfortable here. Yeah. Like, this is part of her routine now. I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to sneak to the living room, and I'm going to go hang out with my other parents, the ones that I actually have fun with and love me. Well, on this third visit, they make her an offer to stay, but she must agree to have buttons sewn over her eyes. That's the agreement. Of course, Coraline just refuses. Like, no, this is too good. We're not doing this. And the other mother, this is where she really starts to lose her cool. and she actually she like transforms. We find out that she's not, that the other mother is not her like native look. She like grows taller and much more arachnid in a way, not full blown Spider-Woman, but
like skeletal.
Yeah, very skeletal. And she grabs up Coraline and imprisons her, shoves her in a room behind a mirror, and just says, "You're not leaving. You're not leaving until you change your mind." Which, of course, she's not going to change her mind, so she's not going to leave.
Yeah, because she's stubborn Coraline.
Yeah, and she is a very stubborn character. And that works to her advantage in this movie. So kids, if you're listening and you're stubborn at home with your parents, stick with it, because it might pay off.
Because you might survive an evil dimension.
Exactly. You just never know.
That's the lesson here.
Right. There is a lesson to be learned from this, and this is it. So while she's trapped behind the mirror of this room, she meets ghosts of former victims, including Wybe's great aunt.
That's where she's been.
Yeah. And they all refer to her as the Beldam. Like she's got a name. Like she's like a demonic creature of some sort. That this is what she does. They reveal that they all were suckered in the same way. They were given a doll that resembles them, and this doll basically was spying on them and then guided them to her lair, this alternative, alternate parallel dimension, I guess.
So the dolls are like Nest cameras.
Exactly. They're built-in Nest cameras.
She's watching it on an app on her phone.
So exactly. Yeah, the parents still have to use like old like green tinted computer screens to type up their plant catalog. Meanwhile, in the other dimension, she's got an iPhone 14 and Nest Cam.
She also checks on her dogs too that way.
Right. And so we find out that these kids, though, the three kids, they did agree to have buttons sewn over their eyes. And that is why they're trapped. Once they agreed to have the buttons applied, she stole their souls.
That's it.
So this is all that's left is there. And so this is what she feeds on. Like she's feeding on children's souls that she is basically, you've got kind of a Hansel and Gretel-esque situation where, oh, it's so wonderful here. And then, you're here for eternity now. The ghosts have a plan, though. They've told Coraline the only way that they could be freed is that if she could collect the essences of their souls.
So
right?
It's been like distilled down into an object.
Yes, there's little trinkets out there that contain our souls, and if you can retrieve them, that can free us. The other Wybe, which is sad because the other Wybe is a creation of the other mother and is still aware that this is not right. So the other Wybe, who has now had a smile sewn onto his face, he rescues Coraline, and so she can return home. And so we're like, whew, Coraline's safe, right? Well, once she gets home, Coraline realizes that the Beldam has kidnapped her parents. She can't find her parents anywhere. Like it's a sad scene where like she makes like cardboard parents that she crawls up between in bed.
Yeah, it's
and,
like paper mache parents.
Yeah, like good night, mom, good night, dad, and then like cries herself to sleep. At no point does she like go get help.
Yeah, yeah.
You've met the neighbors.
You get the impression it's probably the warmest she's ever been with her parents too, and they're
yes,
paper mache versions of themselves.
These cardboard parents. So she realizes that, like I said, the Beldam has kidnapped her parents, which is going to force her to go back to the other world. Once she gets there, the cat clues her in that, hey, the Beldam likes games.
Yep.
So if you could propose a game, she'll play. She'll play along. And that's exactly what Coraline does. She proposes to the Beldam that if I can find my parents and the essence of souls, then we all can go free. And the Beldam's like, and what do I get? Well, if I can't find them, I'll do the buttons on my eyes and I'm yours. Of course, that's an offer she couldn't refuse.
I was reading in the trivia that this scene was shot several times with several different proposed games.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Like Red Rover, Battleship.
Connect 4.
Yeah. Twister. She challenged the Beldam to Twister.
Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spin the bottle.
Yeah. All sorts of different ways they shot it. They decided to go it this way, which, I mean,
They went with this one.
I guess it works, but
I felt bad I felt real bad for the stop motion puppeteers that they spent 3 years filming those alternate scenes.
yeah, doing Mario Kart in claymation.
Right. It's tricky. The frame rate transferred well, but
they couldn't get the banana peels down right though.
Well, they couldn't get the rights. That's where it fell apart. They were gonna go with that, but Nintendo wouldn't give up the rights.
A little known fact: that's where the character Wario came from.
Right.
He was a Coraline alternate cut creation, exactly. and then Nintendo bought the character.
Yeah, Coraline even said, "War, were you born?" Like she's talking to Wario.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah, originally the alternate dimension was turned 90 degrees, and it was a plumber's pipe.
Yeah,
she would find a giant open like pipe out the yard and
they would
jump
explain
down
it,
into it.
The last 60 seconds of the scene, like the music's in double time. Do 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 do.
Yeah, doodle doodle doodle. She's dropping down the well. Something's not right here. And so, so the Beldam agrees to the plan. Coraline, you go to it. Because she's certain you're not going to win. There's no way. And, of course, Coraline's stubborn. And this movie is called Coraline. So she's naturally going to win.
It's not called Beldam.
She goes... Right. Such a heartwarming kids movie. She goes on her search, and she discovers, like, the other Wybie's been murdered. Like, as much as you can murder a bag of sand.
Yeah.
But, like, he's been put... Like, because he defied her. Like... You know, for aiding Coraline, she's ended other Wybie's existence. But she does find the essences as she's scattered throughout the Pink Palace. The cat kind of works alongside of her. She realizes that she's kind of in this like video game where like it just keeps building the same. You know, not really in a video game, but like she'll walk north and continue walking until she comes in from the south. Like, you know, she's trapped. There's no way out of here.
Yeah, the entire dimension is basically the house and the immediate surroundings.
Yeah, but as she finds the essences in the other world, like parts of the other world just go lifeless. Like all the warmth and color we talked about earlier, they start to just drain away until Coraline is left in the living room, which is just pure white, and like the Beldam has taken like full arachnid form here. There's really cool, effects where. You know, she's got like a web, there, and I mean, Coraline's the fly in the spider and the fly scenario. The ghosts reveal to Coraline she's not going to honor your deal. Like, you won the game, but you're not going to win. But again, Coraline is a crafty little girl, and she tricks her into opening the door. Because she tells her, she sees in the living room, she sees that her parents are trapped in a snow globe on the mantle. But she sees that, but then tells the Beldam, my parents are behind that door. Which, of course, means the Beldam's got to open the door to prove her wrong.
Yep.
And in doing so, Coraline grabs the snow globe and takes off through the door. The Beldam is chasing her down. It's actually a pretty, like, tense scene.
Yeah, it is.
As she's, you've got this, like, spider creature... it kind of gave the same vibe of when Frodo was being chased down by
Shelob.
Shelob. I almost said Shaloub, but I'm like, no, that's Monk.
Yep. When Frodo was getting chased down by Tony Shaloub.
Right. When Monk was chasing Frodo.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of have that same that's like go. You wanted to get away. So she grabs the snow globe, she's headed down there, and slams the door, but not before she, like I don't want to say chop off, she didn't really chop it off, but just broke off like the beldam's hand.
Yeah, that
one of her
that,
hands gets severed.
The metal Freddy Krueger Lady Deathstrike.
The kind of the like T-800 after he comes out of the for all you kids listening at home.
Yeah.
When the T-800 comes out of the semi-truck wreckage and fire, and all of his exoskin is melted away, and he's robotic, like that kind of cyborgy.
It's an easy reference to bring up in your mind.
Yeah, you guys get it, right? Kids. And so Coraline thinks she's good. Like, I'm safe, right? I'm back home. My parents are safe. Her parents have actually completely forgotten about their kidnapping.
Yeah, they just thought they went to the store.
Right. So, all of this is like, we know Coraline is an imaginative girl. It's like all this playing in her head, but it doesn't matter because she's lived it. And this movie's from obviously her point of view. But that night, the ghosts appear in Coraline's dream. They thank her for all the work, saving us, freeing us from her clutches. But they also warn her that the beldam isn't gone. She's searching for the key. Because that hand, the hand broke off in the real world. And so that hand is still like tied to her. So that hand is frantically searching for the key so they can unlock the door and she can continue coming through into the real world. Just like in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where Freddy Krueger is coming up from the foot of the bed through the sheets, and Heather Langenkamp's little boy, Miko, no, I almost said Nico Horner. That's not him. Miko Hughes.
Heather Langenkamp's kid started Cubs shortstop Nico Horner.
When he was a kid. Nico Hughes, who played Gage in Pet Sematary. You kids know Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Same kid, he's trying to keep Freddy out of the real world. And he does it by putting a dinosaur, his dinosaur plush at the foot of the bed. Just like that. So I'm so glad we're making so many of these references in Creepy Movies for Kids Month. So all the kids listening at home, I'm sure that our viewership and listenership is just going to explode because really, how many adult podcasts are directed at children? You're not going to hear kids watch. Kids don't go to school talking about, oh, did you guys catch Serial? No, nobody talks about the Serial podcast. Kids don't listen to Mark Maron. Kids listen to Oz and Curtis.
That's right. We both work in education.
Yeah,
we know how to connect with kids.
Yeah.
And what better way to do it than through 1984's James Cameron movie, The Terminator?
Yeah, or referencing Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
You mentioned Freddy Krueger. Why can't I mention Freddy
Kids
Krueger?
Movies.
Yeah, so consider this, ladies and gentlemen, and children, a gateway into future horror. We got to start somewhere, So, with that warning that the beldam is looking for the key, Coraline finds the key, and she's like, I'm going to go drop this key down the well. We're just going to end it, because as Wybie told her earlier, this well is so deep. If you fell down during the day and looked up, you would see a sky full of stars. It doesn't make any sense. It's so deep that it's dark at nighttime. Okay. Or dark in the daytime. I screwed up that joke. Whatever. So Coraline is just about ready to drop the key down the old well from the beginning of the movie, and the hand attacks her. Luckily, Wybie arrives and drops a rock on the hand and destroys it. They drop the key and the hand down the well, seal the well, and the movie ends. We've got Coraline and her parents. They're hosting a party for the neighbors. Wybie and Coraline, they're preparing. They're going to tell grandmother what happened to her sister. It's just a nice, happy ending.
Her parents are actually being kind of engaging with her. I noticed that they also have kind of warmer colors as well at the end.
A little bit too. So it was nice to see how this kind of, you almost think that while her parents forgot, they picked up some parenting skills while in the other world. And it worked out for them. Although the movie would have been kind of funny if when her parents told her, go bother the neighbors. So she goes to Babinski and the ladies, and they all give her those cryptic warnings, and then she actually like listens to them, and then the movie ends with the party. Just chop, like same result, but just okay, I won't go in that door, and then cut to movie ends with Coraline and her parents hosting a party.
Just as effective,
right? Well, because you figure like it does seem like possibly all this is going on in her head, and who knows? Who knows? I've read, this is based on a novel, based on a book by Neil Gaiman of Sandman comic book fame. I read the book before the movie. It's a really good book too. But they do a really good job in the movie of capturing, and I think the stop motion choice allowed that.
Sure.
We can do exactly what we want to do here. So that's it. That's Coraline. That's our intro to creepy movies for kids in the month of June. What'd you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. I think you like it a little more than I do.
I've seen it 17,000 times.
Again, it's not that I dislike it. It's one of those.
Right.
I think it's a good movie. I don't know if I'd call it great. This is probably an appropriate time, though, while we're talking about how much we like the movie, to go into our rating segment, where Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Oz, how would you rate 2009's Coraline?
Oh, I would give 2009's Coraline. I would give it 7 days of no parent interaction. I don't know.
It's healthy.
Yeah. 7 buttons on my eyes. I don't know. A 7. I give it a 7.
Give it a 7. Okay, got it.
How about you? What'd you give it?
Earlier in the movie, when she visited Spinks and Forcible,
Forcible, yeah.
they had miniature Schnauzer is their dog.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
dog of choice,
yep.
And
a lot of them.
They really enjoy their miniature Schnauzers to the point that they have a hard time letting go of them after they've passed on. So on the wall, they have taxidermied all of their past miniature Schnauzers. So I'm going to give this movie 25 taxidermied miniature Schnauzers.
That's going to be fun finding a graphic for.
You're welcome. That'll get you on a list someplace.
No, probably.
When you're Google image searching taxidermied animals.
Right. Yeah, I'll find it. Don't you worry. So,
moving on to our next segment. We got our new bit, Outside Insights. Oz. You want to give the explainer for this and then share yours?
Yeah. This is week 2 of Outside Insight, where we comb the desert. We
ain't found.
We search the internet looking for other people's opinions on the movie we just watched, and try to find something a little out of the ordinary. We're not looking for a straight movie review. We're just looking for something fun. Somebody gives it a rating and then have some fun with it.
Yeah,
so,
Yelp and IMDb and Amazon, what have you.
Yeah. I like to visit Letterboxd for mine, and that's where I found mine. May, on Letterboxd, gives it 5 stars, and her review is simple. Child neglect, but make it family friendly. So there you go.
That checks out.
How about you?
Mine comes from Alan's Ablajakovic 390441. It just rolls
nailed it.
Just rolls off the tongue. Thank God I saw this today and not when I was 9. This would fuel my nightmares for years and left me damaged forever.
I know there's several I saw that I'd love to review, but I'm too busy throwing out all my dolls and buttons. And it is. It was definitely some creep factor involved, and that's okay. I feel well, let's get into the 3, 2, 1s before I elaborate, because that's where my first good is going.
Speaking of, we got the 3, 2, 1 segment where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie we've been talking about, in this case, Coraline. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first good is kind of what I started to talk about just a moment ago, and it's introducing horrific elements to children. It's fun. There is a huge genre of movies out there. Arguably, you could argue the most popular genre of movie, horror films. I feel that they've got probably the most dedicated fans. I know you and I have attended multiple horror conventions. But yet I've never heard of a comedy convention or an action convention or things like that. But so you've got your horror movie conventions, and I'm glad that there are studios and filmmakers that understand the fun of the genre, but also in a way that they can introduce it to kids to where it isn't grisly.
Yeah.
Because if you're not careful, you can step into the horror genre and not realize where your footing is, and like step into the deep end to where you could really get turned off from the entire genre if your introduction is not appropriate. If it's too much too soon. I know growing up, and I don't know when you started, but I know growing up, I was thrust into the horror genre quite like brashly. The first horror movie I remember watching as a kid was the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like 5 or 6 years old. But my mom, her story was when she was a kid, Twilight Zone was on, and my grandpa would watch Twilight Zone, and my mom would kind of watch Twilight Zone from behind the chair until she eventually climbed onto his lap and watched the Twilight Zone. So my mom's ideology was, I want you to know that this is all fake, that it's not real, and that you're safe. But my intro was Freddy Krueger. So thankfully it...
Night. Sleep tight.
Right. So thankfully though, like it didn't scar me, and it I must have been somewhat mentally capable and mature enough to handle it, because it really did, like it created a taste. Like I had a taste for it. And of course, growing up in the home video era, where we'd go to the video store and all the box art of 80s horror films are out there. That's where I spent my time at the video store. Even if we didn't rent anything, I'm in the box art. I'm looking at box art on all these VHS boxes, just in awe of Evil Dead 2 with the skeleton with a human eye, and like and just so many others that really left a mark. And I've seen a lot of those movies as I've gotten older, and the movies don't hold a candle to the box art. But it is nice to see Hollywood and the film industry and directors and screenwriters, etc., understand that we can introduce horror to kids without it being scarring. Like, visuals are okay. Like the other mother in her arachnid form, the Beldam, like she's scary looking.
Yeah, she is.
Like, even as an adult, like the design of that creature is kind of creepy, but she's not oozing, she's not bloody.
It's not grotesque,
right? It's just scary. And so it's nice, and this, I'm kind of rounded up here on my first good. I'm glad that we can do it correctly, and those are the movies that we're going to be talking about this month. Is I feel movies that can introduce scary things to kids in a way though that don't like traumatize them. Hopefully. Because when I think back to our youth, movies like Gremlins. Okay, Gremlins is still, it's kind of kiddish, but that movie's scary.
Yeah.
Like, especially the kitchen scene where, mom, the Gremlins are attacking mom. She's dropping one in a blender, putting one in a microwave.
Yeah. There's like body horror elements to it.
Yeah. Like there's some horrific stuff there. And that's, like Spielberg's got his hand on that. He didn't make it, but like he's got his hand in that. And so I don't feel like the 80s knew how to do it correctly. They just were kind of all at it. But as time has gone on, and I think we understand more about kids and, research to brain science and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we actually pay attention, we realize there is a way to do it. We did try, like the Goosebumps series. R.L. Stine has made a fortune on the Goosebumps series. And it's like, that is perfect for kids, but it's not scary. Like my kids used to watch the Goosebumps TV show when it was streaming on Netflix. And it's like, there's one episode about like a scary sponge. And there's an episode about a camera that takes pictures of you, but you're older, they just missed the mark. But this was fun.
It's called a filter, R.L. Stine.
Right. Get with it. But no, that's my first good, is introducing horrific elements to kids. It's fun. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had in the genre, but you really got to tiptoe your way in, because it could get really, really hairy. My second good, I picked it up the first time I watched it, and I give you all the credit for it, is the "They Might Be Giants" song that was in the movie. The first time I watched it, and I was really paying attention, I was like, they have a sound.
Yeah.
Even like, I'm like, that song that the other father is singing is built like a "They Might Be Giants" song. And then I hit IMDb and I'm looking at the soundtrack, and boom, it's "They Might Be Giants."
There it is.
I felt really proud of it. But I will give you full credit. You were the one back when we were in college doing the radio show. You introduced me to "They Might Be Giants." I had heard Particle Man on like
Animaniacs,
Animaniacs and Tiny Toon Adventures and things like that. But like not enough to connect. So, but yeah. So that's my second good, is the "They Might Be Giants" song that's featured in the movie. And then my third one. Just Keith David is the voice of the cat.
He's so great, Keith David.
And he really doesn't even have a ton of lines.
No,
I'm just loving the visual of Keith David in a sound studio, like just being Keith David,
just doing his Keith David thing.
Yeah, just doing Keith David, and they're like, "Perfect, Keith, thank you." And then he goes home.
I'm sure they call him Keith David also. Keith David, you're doing a great Keith David. Keep it up, Keith David.
Right. And then he, when he's done, and he probably got all his stuff done in a day, and he's done, and he goes to get Starbucks and goes home, and he just keeps doing his Keith David thing. I just love that. That's my third good. How about you? What are your three goods?
Quick note about your second good. They Might Be Giants. After they had this long storied kind of proto-alternative indie career. For the last 15 years or so, they've morphed into a kids band.
I know. Yeah, because they did the hot dog song on Mickey Mouse Playhouse.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't follow them, but that fact I think I read across somewhere is that's pretty much what they do. Yeah. They're like the better.
The style
they're like the. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're like the better Wiggles now.
The better Wiggles. All right, my three goods. I'll start just with an easy one. The animation. The animation is gorgeous.
Oh, I left that. I almost took it, and I'm like, nah. I'm going to go with Keith David, and They Might Be Giants instead.
The animation is absolutely gorgeous. It took like 3 years to do this movie, and just the detail that went into things shows. I read it took them several months to literally create every character. For the Coraline character, there was over like 200,000 different permutations of her face that they could do. So To the people the puppeteers, the craftspeople who did that, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Laika knocked it out of the park. They're the animation house that, like I mentioned, Paranorman earlier. They also did a movie called The Box Trolls. There's an absolute gorgeous movie, Kubo and the Two Strings, that came out that I didn't get near the recognition it should have. That movie is phenomenal. And so yeah, they know how to do stop motion, and they do a great job at it.
My second good, I never would have thought, going into this movie, I would list this as a good. Terry Hatcher's voice work as the mom and other mom. She was great in this movie.
Yeah, she really was.
Did such a great job of defining the difference between mom and other mom. And just, as other moms slowly became more terrifying. She was great. Who would have thought that Lois from Lois and Clark would be such a great voice actress? Kudos
Henry
to you,
Selick.
Terry Hatcher.
Right.
And my third good, I'll just mention the general theme of the movie, that sometimes the grass is always greener, or be careful what you wish for. That isn't to say that people should be complacent or content, but sometimes there is a degree of perspective that you have to take. When you start moving away from what's known and what's safe. Again, exploration and taking risks and chances are a natural part of life, which we encourage. But again, there is something to be said about the grass is always greener. And sometimes recognizing what you have is enough or good enough. And things can look great from a distance, but once you get up close, they are anything but, folks.
And just to summarize that, if you're ever in a situation and somebody wants to take your eyes out and replace them with buttons, that's not the greener side of the fence.
Yeah, you might want to second guess that one.
Yeah. So Coraline was smart in her willingness to get away from that situation.
They want to remove my eyes and replace them with buttons. Let's
Everything
pause
else
for
here
a
is-
moment.
I do get mango milkshakes whenever I want, though.
Yeah.
Or I could go back home and eat chard.
Oh, I am in a pickle here, folks.
Ooh, mango milkshakes and blindness, or vision and chard. Can I think about it?
Do I really need a soul? I mean,
It's like that scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oh, it's probably my favorite scene of the movie where they're going through. They're talking to all the different people who are trying to figure out the location of the fifth golden ticket. And all these little snippets where, like, one man's talking to the computer, like, I built this computer whose algorithm will tell me exactly where it is. Well, there's one where, like, there's like a kidnapping mystery, and a woman's husband is kidnapped, and the police are like, they've left a ransom note. They want your box of Wonka bars. And then what are you gonna do? And the woman's like, and they're like, what are you? I'm thinking. And it's just the like, mango milkshakes and blindness, or it's like, let me think it through. Oh, that's one of my favorite bits of that movie.
all right, Oz, what are your two bads?
My first bad is the this is a kids movie. Let's not kid ourselves. The proportion of the neighbor ladies, especially the upper half proportions of the neighbor ladies.
Yeah.
The one in particular, Forcible, I think it was. Like just, yeah, very, very busty woman. And and at one point when they were doing like the play with the ship and she was like a mermaid,
Yeah.
she just had like pasties on. It's like, even Jenny, I mean, we've watched it enough, but we were really like paying attention last night.
Yeah.
Jenny's just like, this is a kid's movie. I'm like, I know, but whatever, But they're on the with that, like, they're so cartoonish though.
Yeah.
That it is what it is. It's like if Pixar is going to make every Pixar mom built a certain way, then Laika's like, we see you and we'll go the other half.
Yeah.
And then my second bad is Coraline is just a flat out jerk to Wybie in the real world. Like, you got a kid that misses her friends. We see it because she has a pretty like touching scene where she looks at a picture of her of her friends in her old town and she misses them. And here's a kid that's rolling up and he's like, "Hey, I want to be your friend." And she's questioning. Well, she's just a jerk. Why were you born? And you talk too much. And so that's my second bad. Is just for being the main character. Like, there are definitely parts of this which makes her a more well-rounded character for sure. But there were parts where like Coraline's behavior was not likable.
Yeah.
And so, you obviously you don't want to see a child end up, with their soul sucked away by the beldam. But at the same time, like, did Coraline learn her lesson? And I hope so. So that's my second bad, is just Coraline's general attitude towards Wybie, this new kid she just met. She's not very friendly. How about you? What are your two bads?
My first bad, I'll kind of build on that one. Like, there's not really any good characters in the movie. I mean, you've just established, Coraline is pretty standoffish the vast majority of the time. Her parents are oblivious and self-absorbed and just kind of consumed by work. The neighbors are just plain weird. Right? Not that they're unlikable, but they're just plain weird. I mean,
yeah, they're there for weirdness.
Yeah.
Like,
and Wybie's likable enough, but he's kind of annoying. So it's, I don't know, it's sort of hard to get behind the characters in this movie.
Yeah, I'm not saying Coraline didn't have grounds for her thoughts, but
Yeah.
to just lay, I agree. Like, Wybie did talk a lot, and he's kind of annoying. And there for a while, I was waiting for his head to do like an owl thing.
Yeah.
Like,
just turn around like 330
point,
degrees. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, Grandma needs to take you to a chiropractor, Wybie. Yeah.
You got a slip disc or something there, buddy.
Right, something's not right.
Yeah. My second my second bad, excuse me. The cat seemed a little convenient. I thought it kind of took something away from Coraline, that like the cat had to be the one who kind of laid things out for her. Like she didn't kind of figure everything out herself.
Right.
Not that not that it isn't okay to ask or need help sometimes, but I thought that the cat was just a little convenient. I'm glad he's there just so that we can hear Keith David's voice.
Exactly.
But, like the cat, I could have, I guess, give or take, I guess.
Yeah, let Keith David do Babinski's voice.
There you go. Or Forcible's
or
voice.
the dad, Forcible's voice.
Yeah, those are my two bads. Oz, what's your one
Why would anybody believe her story? Like, because there's no survivors, but we know we end the movie with Coraline and Wybie are going to tell Grandma what happened to her sister when she was a kid. But there's nothing believable about the story that she's about to tell.
Yeah, and I don't think they have any evidence. Evidence they had is at the bottom of the well.
Exactly. And so that's my is just why would anybody believe it? Especially when parents have been so neglectful and she's just left with her own imagination. And then when they go check that door, which they can't because the key is lost, it's going to be bricked up anyway.
Yeah.
She's about to tell the story and it's not remotely believable. It's almost going to be insulting. Hey, Grandma, Coraline here, the new girl that moved in, she knows what happened to your sister when she was younger. And then she's like, oh, she crawled in through this hole and had her soul sucked out. And no, that's terrible. That's a terrible, terrible story. And not believable in the slightest. So that's my What is your
My is, why didn't Judge John Hodgman sing? They had a different voice actor do his singing parts.
They did.
Yeah. You can do it, Judge. You can sing. Just let those pipes roar, buddy.
It is a catchy song, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Both my kids know every word to it. They sang along with it when it was played last night.
It's great.
And then my daughter proceeds to elaborate on he's dropping clues about what's going to happen to her later. And I'm like, oh, gosh, stop. We know. You've told us this last time we watched the movie. But I guess I shouldn't complain. I love the fact that she loves something so much that, I can only imagine where she gets her just insatiable appetite to digest all trivia about a movie.
That could come from anywhere.
Yeah, it's not any influence of mine at all.
No, not at all.
There's a reason why these books behind me are blurred out, because some of them have the title of, I guess I can't see it off the top of my head. Oh, there we are. Here's 101 horror movies you need to see, and here's the monster show. Yeah, there's several horror movie trivia books behind me. So yes, it's my fault that my daughter is an insatiable appetite for movie trivia. Only movies that she likes.
Guilty.
I just wish she liked. Yeah, I just wish she liked more things like this instead of let me tell you everything I know about Trolls 2. I'm thinking Troll 2? I'll watch Troll 2 with you.
Yeah, Troll 2.
Trolls 2. I'm like, no.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I love that movie. That movie is so bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
Have you seen the documentary, The Best Worst Movie?
No.
It's about the making of Trolls 2.
Oh, really?
It is. Oh, yeah. It's a very good documentary. Very sad.
Okay.
But it's very good. But yeah, it's the dad in Trolls 2 was like a dentist that always wanted to be an actor, and he came in and auditioned and of course got the role. So he quit being a dentist. He's not even a dentist really anymore that I know of. He just goes around to conventions doing this.
Well, and if that's what makes him happy.
I'm the guy from Trolls 2, and but yeah, it's fun. It's a very fun documentary, but there are some touching scenes in there where when you see, I wouldn't even call this a B movie, Trolls 2.
Oh, yeah.
But when you see actors in this Z-level movie, and then their careers are just over, and they go back to being but then the only thing that they are remembered for is this terrible movie.
Yeah.
It's sad because you like to think that everybody's off living a good life, and then you're like, no, that person is not. They are probably clinically insane, and But it's definitely worth watch. Like,
okay.
The documentary is very good.
Duly noted.
So, what do we have next week?
Next week, as we continue creepy movies for kids, we're going to go back to the early 80s with The Dark Crystal.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it from beginning to end. I've probably seen the whole movie just in chunks, but I've never watched it continuously. So
you do like to watch your early 80s movies, like the movie Memento or Pulp Fiction. Like, you don't like to watch them chronologically, or at best reverse chronological order.
Yeah, I like to piece my own reality together.
I like to start it at the end and just rewind and try to figure out what's going on until it gets to the beginning.
Till we get there.
But no, is Jim Henson all over this?
Yeah, Jim Henson's studios and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've never seen it. Never seen this one.
The Dark Crystal.
So, hoping for a good one.
Oh, it's good. I think you'll like it.
Good. I'm sure I will. So, yeah, this is a 5-week month. So, we will be tightening up the shows a bit just to make sure we have room for all 5. So, you're about done listening to our voice for this week. But yeah, we got 5 weeks. So, 5. So, if you are one with a young child that's like, oh, Oz and Curtis, I want to introduce my children to horror, but I don't know how.
You got this month. You got 5 opportunities.
Let this month be your guide on how to scare your kids and not get in trouble for it.
Appropriately.
Exactly. So, 4, let's talk about flicks. You know it all. Like, review, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell your bosses.
Tell your kids.
Tell your kids. You could find us on all the social media sites except for the ones we're not on. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're not on TikTok. We're not on Snapchat. We're not that cool. We do have a YouTube channel. If you're watching it, you can see it. If not, make sure you check it out so you can see those amazing crocheted creations of my daughters.
They are amazing too.
Yeah, she does do a really good job. I'll give her that.
Those are award-winning, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Hold on a second here. She did make me a zombie last year.
I love it.
But yeah, she does a lot of stuff. She made this little penguin. As you see when you've got an addict, they're just crochet things all over the place. But yeah, so hit up the YouTube channel, take a look at that if you haven't. I might even snap a picture and share it as instead of the poster art, maybe I'll put it on our Instagram.
Like that.
But yeah, she does some excellent work. But yeah, so again, you know where to hit us up. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. But like Curtis, you said, we've got Dark Crystal next week. And then we are rolling into the summer.
That we are.
Yes, we are. I know I'm out for school. I'm out of school for the summer. Are you out for the summer?
More or less, yeah.
More or less. Yeah, you've got some extracurricular going on. So, all right, well, folks, thanks for coming by and spending some time with us. I hope you enjoyed listening to us blab about Coraline, episode 31.
On the road to 30,000.
We'll see you guys next week. Take care.